Yes, but I didn't really round on what do I mean then by the real. Well, I'm claiming that the real is really the pure forms world. It's just that as a child, our pure forms world is, well, a bit chaotic, you see. It's not consistent. We got the wrong things in there, you know. We might have, you know, that we put Queen and country before everything, or we might have the notion that, you know, science is unquestionably always the way to go. That's what's more important. Or we may have a very simplistic mistake, like follow the money, follow the dollar, and we find, you know, that our life becomes very unhappy by some of the wrong values that we have, the wrong pure forms, pure in our mind, but oh my goodness, a disaster in fact, not the way to go at all. And we are in fact learning to get our pure forms in order. And that's the purpose of creation, perhaps, to prepare us for, ideally, life eternal. Do you want to trust that, or do you want to trust something else? All you have to do is ask yourself, well, is trusting something else really to be preferred by me? You say, well, I don't know, there's all sorts of uncertainties, but yes, I mean, life might turn out all right. I mean, you know, your marriage partner might be faithful, and your kids might grow up to be simply wonderful and love you, and you know, your country might never go to war, and you may find you're getting richer and richer from year to year, and healthier and healthier. Well, that's unlikely, but then they're all unlikely, actually. And overall, it seems that, no, it's not a preferred option. Because what matters is your pure form world to you. Because that's all you really have. The real world is going on out there all the time, but you're not at all clear what it is and how it's functioning. Not really. All you know is you make this of it. And sometimes what you do in consequence of this view works, and sometimes it doesn't, and so on and so forth. But what you're experiencing is the thoughts of such. Not in a sense the direct such that's happening out there, but how it's affecting your thoughts. So, if it's raining today and I think, oh, I can't do so-and-so, that's miserable, I was hoping to do it, then I'm a bit down, a bit disappointed. But if on the other hand I'm thinking, that means, what's the next alternative? Oh, I could do so-and-so. Perhaps God wants me to do that, that's for the best. And then now what you're living, you see, is quite different because of your thoughts. Now, of course, the world says, but that's make-believe. And you reply, no, that's where we are living, in our thoughts. And some thoughts are far more serviceable to others, even in the real world, than other thoughts, you see. So, if I trust my wife's going to be faithful, and she trusts I'm going to be faithful, we both invest in the future accordingly, and life is much better than it would otherwise have been. Yes, it's true, if one of us breaks trust, it turns out to be most unhappy and a disaster. unless you have a greater trust, which says, I wonder why God's allowed that. And that alone, you see, starts to change the impact of this problem on your well-being and on your decisions. You know, the one is looking for the opportunities that this now might mean that God has in mind. The other may be in despair and a suicidal state, despair and depression. In other words, quite simply, we are at the least much more living in the pure form thought world. And we're trying to find a furnishing of such. Possibly, I think I'm meaning the values that are appropriate to a thought world that is best. Best in what sense? Well, best in itself, but also best in real world outcomes. The material world outcomes as well. As where, you know, I optimistically look for better options as opposed to jumping off the bridge. It's never struck me as a good option. I don't know why people choose that. Anyway. So suddenly the real, you know, the practical, the worldling, is seen to be mistaken. He's chased after the transitory, the things that you couldn't possibly put your joyful hope in, could you? Well, I suppose you could. You could say, well, I'm still hoping to win the lotto and, you know, and et cetera, and you could still hope that, you know, you're going to be well and so on. But in fact, your living is within. Your kingdom is within. And you need it to be the kingdom of heaven. And to recognize it as such. And to live accordingly. Why do I say you need to do that? Because it'll give you a better outcome. And I think I'm maintaining even in the short run. Because in the short run, if it doesn't, you may quickly abandon it. And yet, in pure form understanding, it's much more likely that to live, if you like, kingdom living within is going to bring you a happier life now and possibly, with uncertainty, life eternal. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. And of course, life eternal, being of infinite gain, times its probability, the expected value of life eternal is infinite. So there's no question logically which one you should choose. The one that gives you the possibility of life eternal, or the greater probability as you see it, or the greater assurance. So yes, it is self-interest. And the wonderful thing about self-interest is that apparently it seems to lead to, ultimately, an enlargement of self that would in some sense make you eligible to be in true heavenly communion forever. Wow! Is this amazingly fortuitous? Or is it the very purpose of God? Which do you think is the best option to trust. Gotcha. Thank you, Heavenly Dad.